Here is part of a number line. It is divided into equal sections. Write the letter of the section where each of these numbers belongs. The number 99 has been done for you. So here, to get from 0 to 100, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. So if we divide 100, divide the difference by 5, that tells us that each line represents an increase of 20. So we have 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. And then below 0, we have minus 20, minus 40, and so on. So the number 99 is in section J because that's between 80 and 100. So where is the number 29? Well, that's between 20 and 40, so that's in section G. And now minus 83 is less than minus 80, so between minus 80 and minus 100, so that's section A. Minus 15 is between 0 and minus 20, so that's in E. And then 44 is between 40 and 60, so that's section H. Triangle ABC is equilateral. Calculate the size of angle X. So equilateral triangles, as well as having sides of the same length, also have angles of the same size. So that's angles of 60 degrees, because all triangles have total angles of 180 degrees, and 180 divided by 3 is 60. So we know that the angles of the triangle will all be 60 degrees. Now angles in a quadrilateral, so in a four-sided shape, add up to 360 degrees, and we have a quadrilateral, a four-sided shape here. So what we can do is subtract the angles that we have from 360. So 60 plus 60 plus 108 is 228, and if we subtract that from 360, we get 132. So that's the size of angle X. Now the reason why angles in a quadrilateral add up to 360 is because you can make two triangles from a quadrilateral, and angles in a triangle always add up to 180. So because a quadrilateral is the same as two triangles, you can turn any quadrilateral into two triangles. So that means we can have 2 times the number of angles in a triangle, so that's 360. But there is another way of solving this question. We know that it's an equilateral triangle, so this angle here will be 60 degrees. But then we can work out this angle here, because we have angles on a straight line, and angles on a straight line have to add up to 180. And if we subtract 108 from 180, we get 72. So now we know 2 of the angles in this triangle here. We can work out the third by adding them up and subtracting from 180, because angles in a triangle must add to 180 degrees. So now that we know that this angle here is 58, we can see that we have angles on a straight line. So if we subtract 58 from 180, that gives us 132 degrees for angle X. 200 children went on holiday. 10% of the children went to Wales. 25% of the children went to Scotland. How many more children went to Scotland than went to Wales? So the total number will be 100%, and then 10% is the same as 100%, because 10 times 10 is 100. And that means to find 10%, we can divide by 10. Now, 4 25% is the same as 100% because 4 times 25 is 100. And that's why to find 25% we can divide by 4. Notice a percentage is a fraction with a denominator of 100, and 10% can be simplified to 1/10. 10 hundredths is the same as 1/10, so we divide by 10. And 25 hundredths can be simplified to 1/4, so that's why we divide by 4. So to find the number of children who went to Wales, we can divide the total, divide 200 by 10, and 200 divided by 10 is 20. So that means 20 children went to Wales, and to find the number who went to Scotland, we can divide 200 by 4, and that gives us 50, so 50 children went to Scotland. Now the question asks how many more, so we need to find the difference between 50 and 20, so we need to subtract, and 50 minus 20 is 30, so that means 30 more children went to Scotland than went to Wales. A 5p coin has a diameter of 1.8 centimetres. Holly makes a straight line of 5p coins worth £10. How long is Holly's line? Give your answer in metres. So first, we need to find out how many 5p coins Holly uses. We know that the line is worth £10. Now 20 5p coins makes £1 because 20 times 5 is 100, and 100 pence is the same as £1. But Holly's line is worth £10. Now £1 times 10 is £10, and 20 times 10 is 200. So that means Holly uses 200 5p coins. Now each coin has a diameter, so a width or length of 1.8 centimetres. So we need to work out 200 times 1.8. That's 360. So the line is 360 centimetres, but we need to give the answer in metres. So to change centimetres to metres, we divide by 100, and 360 divided by 100 is 3.6. We can imagine the decimal point on the end, and then to divide by 100, we move it 2 places to the left, and that gives us 3.60, which is the same as 3.6, because we can ignore zeros on the end of decimals. So how can we work out 200 times 1.8? Well, one way to do it is to use column multiplication. So remember, if we have a decimal, we need to copy down the decimal point, and then we can just follow the steps of long multiplication, and that gives us 360.0. So we can ignore the 0.0, that's 360 centimetres. Or we could use something else. We could spot that 200 is the same as 2 times 100, so we could multiply 1.8 by 100 to get 180, and then multiply by 2 to get 360. Or we could do 1.8 times 2 to get 3.6, and then multiply 3.6 by 100 to get 360. In a survey of how children travel to school, these were the results. Abby wants to make a pie chart to show the results. Complete the table to show the angles of each section of the pie chart. So in a pie chart, we have a point in the middle, and we have angles around that point. So the angles on a pie chart need to total 360 degrees. So what we can do is find equivalent fractions for these percentages, which have a denominator of 360. 10% is 10 hundredths because a percentage is a fraction with a denominator of 100. But we want to find an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 360. But 360 is not a multiple of 100. So what we need to do is simplify this fraction first. 10 hundredths is the same as 1/10 because we can divide both the numerator and denominator by 10. So now we can find an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 360 because 10 times 36 is 360. So if we do the same to the numerator, 1 times 36 is 36. So that means the angle will be 36 degrees. Now we know that 45%, so 45 hundredths, travel on the bus. Again, we need to simplify this fraction first. Both 45 and 100 are multiples of 5, so we can find an equivalent fraction of 9/20. And then we can find an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 360 because 20 times 18 is 360. If we divide 360 by 20, we get 18. So then we can work out 9 times 18, and that's 162. So the angle is 162 degrees. And now we have 20% that travel by car. 20% is the same as 4/20, so we could divide both the numerator and denominator by 5, or we could divide by 20, we could divide by 10. It doesn't really matter as long as we get a denominator that's a factor of 360. Because then we can change 20ths into 360 as the denominator. 20 times 18 is 360, and 4 times 18 is 72. So our angle is 72 degrees. And then we can check 90 plus 36 plus 162 plus 72 should give a total of 360, because angles around a point, so angles in a pie chart, have a total of 360 degrees. Here is a line on coordinate axes. Points O, P, Q and R are equally spaced. The coordinates of P are 25, 12. What are the coordinates of R? So we know that point P has an x coordinate of 25 and a y coordinate of 12. So we can find the coordinates for point Q because we know that the points are equally spaced. So point O has an x coordinate of 0 and point P has an x coordinate 25 more. So that means point Q will have an x coordinate of 50 because we have 0 plus 25 is 25 plus another 25 is 50. And the y coordinate for point Q will be 24 because point O has a y coordinate of 0 and 0 plus 12 is 12 and 12 plus 12 is 24. So we can find the coordinates for point R because the x coordinate will be 25 more, so 25 more than 50 is 75, and then the y coordinate will be 12 more than 24, so 36. So point R has the coordinates 75, 36. Linda buys a pair of trainers. She says, I bought this pair of trainers when there was 20% off the normal price. I paid £18 for them. What was the normal price of the trainers? So the normal price is 100% of the price. So if Linda bought the trainers when it was 20% off, then she paid 80% of the price. So 80% of the normal price is £18. So how can we work out 100% of the price? Well, we can find 20% first by dividing by 4, because 80 divided by 4 is 20, and then to find 100% we can multiply by 5. So £18 divided by 4 is £4.50, and then if we know that 20% of the price is £4.50, we can work out 100% by multiplying by 5, because 20 times 5 is 100. So if we work out £4.50 times 5, that will give us £22.50. So that's 100% of the price, or the normal price, of the trainers. We could also, if we know that 80% is £18, find 10% first. So 80 divided by 8 is 10, and if we divide £18 by 8, we'll get £2.25. And then, to find 100%, we can multiply by 10, because 10 times 10 is 100, and if we multiply £2.25 by 10, we'll again get £22.50 as our answer. Here is an equation. We have k equals 100 minus 4n. Find the value of k when n equals 60. So 4n means 4 times n. So if n is 60, we need to work out 100 minus 4 times 60 to work out the value of k. Now 4 times 60 is 240, and if we subtract that from 100, we get minus 140 as the value of k. Because remember, if the number we're subtracting is larger than the number we start with, we'll have a negative number as our answer. Now notice here, in my working out, I wrote brackets around 4 times 60. So if we have 100 minus 4n, we don't want to do 100 minus 4, so 96, and then multiply by n. If we have a number and a letter next to each other, we need to deal with that first. Now, find the value of n when k equals 99. So if k is 99, we have 99 equals 100 minus 4n. Now 100 minus 1 is 99, so that must mean 4n is 1. And if 4 times n is 1, that means n is 1/4, because 4 times 1/4 is 4 quarters, and if we have 4 quarters, we have 1 whole. So n is 1/4, or 0.25. Paulo makes a sequence of numbers. He chooses a starting number and then subtracts equal amounts each time. The third number in his sequence is 45. The 10th number is minus 32. What is the first number in the sequence? So we know that he subtracts equal amounts each time, but we need to find what that amount is. So to get from 45 to minus 32, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 jumps. So that's 7 equal jumps because he's subtracting equal amounts each time. And the difference between 45 and minus 32 is 77. That's because from minus 32, we would need to add 32 to get to 0, and then add 45 to get to 45. So if we need to add 32 and 45, then we need to add 77 altogether, so that's the difference. So what we can do to find how much he subtracts each time is divide the difference by the number of jumps, and 77 divided by 7 is 11. So that means he subtracts 11 each time. So we can work out this number here by adding 11, and 45 plus 11 is 56. And that means we can work out our first number by adding 11 to 56. So that's 67. This photograph shows 3 Russian dolls. The real-life height of the largest Russian doll is 13.5 centimetres. What is the real-life height of the smallest Russian doll? So we can see that in the photograph, the height of the largest doll is 4.5 centimetres, but the real-life height is 13.5. So we need to think 4.5 times what is 13.5? Well, 1 times 4.5 is 4.5, and if we add another 4.5, we get 9.0, and then adding a third 4.5 takes us to 13.5. So that tells us that 4.5 times 3 is 13.5. So to get the real-life height from the height in the photograph, we need to multiply by 3. So we can see that the smallest Russian doll has a height of 3.2 centimetres in the photograph. So if we multiply that by 3, we get 9.6. So the real-life height of the smallest Russian doll is 9.6 centimetres.